Hello and welcome. I'm Al Barrows, and this is UFO Disclosure, the podcast that's meant to show an average person's reaction to all the UFO, UAP news from everywhere and anywhere. So, what can I say about crop circles that hasn't already been said? Crop circles have been around since before the 1900s. They peaked between 2009 and 2010. They happen very fast and usually overnight. Their average size is about 200 yards in diameter. And although most happen in the UK, they've been spotted worldwide in over 60 countries. And most intriguing to me is that they've been linked to the UFO UAP phenomenon. Crop circles have been documented and studied for decades with no definitive answers. So in this podcast, I'm going to give a brief overview of crop circles while highlighting just a couple that I find noteworthy. Stay tuned, should be pretty interesting. So, how are crop circles actually made? Could crop circles be frequency-induced artifacts? On Reddit, the sub UFOB, Don't Ask About UFOs, thinks so, and posted this video. I thought it was interesting that those formations weren't quite what have been seen in crop circles, but they're still beautiful nonetheless and also very symmetrical. And in a very rare instance, a physical artifact was found inside of a crop circle, and this is from Germany.
They're called crop circles, huge geometrically perfect shapes that literally appear overnight, carved right out of farmers' fields. Some believe they're UFO landing pads. Others think they might be some sort of cosmic road sign. And, of course, many...
The story of these crop circles took a dramatic turn. For the first time, physical evidence of their creation may have been discussed Roman dinnerware, but some believe they are something far more dramatic, extraterrestrial artifacts.
The plate is like a map of the crop circles. You know, the same signs you saw on the fields, you
symbols. And in my opinion, the phenomenon appears to reawaken our hidden memories of these ancient symbols of communication, to tell mankind that we are really entering a new age, the age when the gods return.
All indications are that this is part of a pattern of powerful, unusual intelligence showing itself on the planet.
Is an alien power drawing messages on a canvas of grain? Are these circles an elaborate global hoax? Our story of the latest development in this mystery begins on the morning of July 20th, 1991, when jogger Hans Slan discovered these patterns carved into the wheat fields of Grasdorf, Germany. 150 feet long and 50 feet wide, they were inscribed with ancient symbols that appeared to be in the lost Celtic language.
This is a message. This is indeed a message by a non-human intelligence.
After receiving a telephone tip, local journalist Claudia Briebach was one of the first investigators to arrive on the scene. She immediately ordered a series of aerial photographs for analysis.
They were just huge. They were really amazing because they were so huge, and I first thought it couldn't be a human being doing this. If it's a human being having done this, it's a genius, really. Because I think it was about 100 meters long, and the circles were exactly made, and it was really beautiful.
Our investigative team invited German researcher and author Michael Hessemann to analyze the origins of the Grasdorf circles. He began with a land survey to determine if the circles could possibly be a hoax.
If you fake them, you would really align them with the tram lines. But they are not in alignment to the tram lines. And it is exactly in an east-west alignment. And so really guide me to the conclusion that we have a real phenomenon and that they are not made by human beings.
Analysis of soil and plant samples taken from the Grasdorf circles revealed some unusual characteristics.
The stalks are bent but not broken. They lay down one by the next one next to each other, in a circular pattern. We found molecular changes, we found genetic changes, we found all indications of a great heat.
Scientific tests performed by the Technical University in Berlin showed radiation levels inside the crop circles that were 172% higher than in the field around it. In April, psychic Helga Lundström visited another section of the Grasdorf fields, where the unexplained phenomena had been captured on film.
This is amazing. She really detected the right side of what we call the sun wheel, and what is one of the circles we had in the pictogram. And it is really amazing how she, after 2.5 years, really detected the right side for this formation here.
The mystery intensified when metal detector tests of the crop circles uncovered 3 unusual metal plates. Each plate contained an image of the crop circle pictograph, exactly the same design that had been carved on the wheat fields. German historian Moshkoty Litvas helped analyze these metal plates that were found to be made of precious metals, bronze, silver and gold.
I went with the plates with another man together to Berlin. There is an examination institute, a very, very big institute, and they found there is only silver in the silver plate, and the bronze is very unusual. We have never seen metallic plates like this. If you look on this picture, you see there are a lot of circles, but there are only 3 circles surrounded by half circles, and that are the places they found the 3 plates. In all the other circles, they found nothing.
How could such elaborate designs appear overnight in the darkness? Why did these huge symbols mirror the images of the metal plates? These are only 2 of the many questions that surround these mysterious circles.
So I thought it was very interesting because of those plates having the same pictograph as the crop circles, and the metal used for those plates seemed to be unusual. One of the key focus of crop circle experts is focusing on the difference between man-made and authentic crop circles. Authentic crop circles seem to display unique features, such as the way the crops are interwoven. And you saw that in that video, how the crops seem to be laid in a vortex, or laid in the same direction in a circular motion, and laid down in intricate, precise designs. A central theme in crop circle research is the connection between geometry and consciousness. Many formations display complex geometric patterns. These patterns, often linked to ancient mathematical principles, suggest that crop circles could be a form of communication, perhaps even messages from beyond our world. And this is from the subreddit UFOB, and it's from World Dazzling 6407. It's a crop circle that was giving us a warning about our future. Quote, false gifts, broken promises. This is one of the most fascinating out there. It reveals an alien face as well as a coded message. And after much time was spent on decoding the message, the following statement was revealed. Quote, beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. There is good out there. We oppose deception, conduit closing. End quote. That's a closer look at it. Just looks like your typical gray, and this is the coded message that it came with. And that's an aerial view. So one of the most famous cases is the Chilbolton case from 2001. And that seemed to be a direct response from a message sent from us, Earth, in 1974 that was sent out into outer space. The formation included a binary code, leading many to speculate that it was a reply from an extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence. Check it out. This is Karen Alexander, a photographer who's done some great work on aerial photography of these crop circles, being interviewed by Jimmy from the UAP files, talking about the Chilbolton 2001 crop circle.
Is it the Chilbolton code from, I want to say, early noughties, 2000, 2001, something like that? That case was always stuck in my head as just incredible. So this was if I'm right in thinking, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it was almost like a response code to the transmission sent out in the 70s.
Yes, that's right.
I remember reading about that years later, just thinking, how is this not like on every single newspaper? This is, significant.
Yeah.
What did you make of that?
Just to let everybody know, Chilbolton is a radio telescope. It's a fairly small one. It's in Hampshire. There have been circles around it because it is really sort of in the middle of a lot of farmland and so on. So, but this one happened right next to this radio telescope, and yes, it was basically using the same kind of design as the one that had been sent out by Arecibo in the 1970s. This was using exactly the same design, but I think it was 2001. And it had obviously it had differences including sort of the makeup for life. It included silicon, which was very interesting. And obviously the little man, because on the one we sent out, there's a representation of a human being. This one, it was the lot smaller, big head, small body thing. There was a second crop circle in that field, which was a face, and it was made from dots of various different sizes, sort of like old newsprint.
Yeah. How is it possible? Because I'm a simple person, right? Now I'm looking at this from how could I do that in the dead of without being found out? You've got this incredible design where you've basically got to be a genius to even think of it, and then to somehow apply it, and to somehow use the most incredible technology that I don't think really exists to create it.
I mean, people tend to focus on things like that because I think it connects it with the UAP subject, for instance, and with all of that. And I totally understand that. But crop circles is such a wide subject matter that I think.
So I thought that was one of the more interesting, if not the most interesting case. But there is also a spiritual aspect to the crop circles. Many formations appear near ancient sacred sites, such as Stonehenge, raising questions about their deeper connections to human consciousness and spirituality. Many think that these crop circles may serve as a bridge to ancient wisdom and modern understanding, offering a visual language that transcends words. Here's Karen Alexander, who with her husband has produced some incredible aerial photography, talking about the spirituality of crop circles and why they may be placed next to ancient sites like Stonehenge.
The other thing that very often happens with crop circles is that they have this relationship to ancient sites. Crop circles, although the vast majority of them happen in the UK, they actually happen all over the world. They've been reported in over 60 countries. So, and even when they are reported in places like Australia or America, Canada, or all over Europe, very often they are placed next to ancient sites. Now, what's really interesting about that is that very often those ancient sites were built using a form of geometry themselves. So if you look at something like Stonehenge, for instance, Stonehenge has an inherent geometry to it that you can, once you've got a plan of Stonehenge, that you can kind of draw on. And what you begin to realize very quickly is when you begin to look at that research, so you're looking at the geometry of ancient sites, what you realize is that exactly the same proportions and numbers are found in the crop circles as well. And so this has been, part of human culture for very many thousands of years. And the crop circles are kind of like a modern incarnation of that. And it's almost like somebody is saying, hey, we recognize what was going on here. This is a language in which we can speak as well. And the geometry itself, it unfolds in all kinds of great ways. That, it has puns on numbers and dates. There was a great formation that happened in the year 2008. It happened on the 8th of August, 2008. So it's all the 8s in the date. And then the crop circle itself was a huge figure 8, made from lots of circles of different sizes that created like a lemskate or a Mobius loop. And one of the things that interests me is what we might be able to say about the phenomenon by looking at the way it presents itself. And, I call it presentation and gesture. So it's it's like body language with human beings. We speak to each other, but, it's only a certain part of our communication is actually verbal. The rest of it is quite visual. And I think the same is the same for the crop circle phenomenon. So, and I think when you look at it like that, it's almost as if it's an open invitation. It's saying, come on inside, come and interact with what's going on here. And of course, when you do that, we then go back to the work of Hans Jenny. And what we realize is that crop circles, the geometry of them, it's like frozen music. Just like some architecture is, and that it has an effect on human consciousness. So just like when we listen to music, if it's marching music, you want to go to war. If it's spiritual music, you might want to pray. Music has this way of getting under our skin and evoking things from within us. And I think absolutely those kinds of things are at play with the crop circle phenomenon. And many people report feeling all kinds of things when they walk inside them. Some people say they feel nothing, but sometimes people will I've seen people walk in and not the person you would expect, but would just burst into tears because they were so moved by the experience and the space that is created. So these things do have a very profound effect on the human being. I think they're actually designed to do that. I think that's part of the communication process, if you like.
I'm going to skip ahead to where she talks about Oliver's castle and how the crop circle was made there.
Just for those people who don't know, Oliver's Castle is actually an ancient hill fort. And it's actually just outside of Devizes in Wiltshire. It's a fantastic place of natural beauty. So you've got a really high hillside, then you have this sort of bowl of fields below. It's beautiful, beautiful place. The footage you're talking about was taken in 1996, and it isn't without controversy, obviously, as all these things tend to be. But basically, what it shows, as you say, is it shows like this snowflake kind of pattern appearing in a field with these lights going around it over the top, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet from the top of the crop in the field. And yeah, I mean, if it isn't real, it certainly shows what a lot of people thought that it might look like if you actually saw a crop circle happening. I mean, I'm agnostic on the footage itself. There have been many films of balls of light taken in conjunction with crop circles. My other half took some. He took in 1990. And there's no doubt in my mind that that was absolutely real and it was absolutely something anomalous. And they are seen with some regularity in and around crop circles themselves, and they're fascinating. As for that formation, some people will tell you that it's been completely debunked. I'm not quite sure that I think that's true. Certainly the person that took it never really came forward. And there was some suggestion that it had, that it had been done by some kind of CGI. But bearing in mind when it was taken, it would have been quite something, I think, to have done that. Is it possible? I don't know. I'm not an expert on video. I'm not an expert on CGI. I couldn't tell you 100% whether it was or it wasn't. But again, I kind of, it's one of those things I like to keep an open mind about, because I know that there is this definite relationship between seeing these balls of light and crop circles appearing. So yeah, I couldn't tell you on that specific video, but do I think that the phenomena of balls of light and crop circles were absolutely 100%? Yes.
Okay, so why don't we take a look at that video of the Oliver's Castle crop circle being made.
Countryside, rational explanations aren't quite so easy to come by. Oliver's Castle, Wiltshire, 1989.
There's a couple of lights down there somewhere.
This controversial film appears to show strange objects hovering above a cornfield. Below, complex circle formations appear.
Okay, so that was a bit better look at that video of the Oliver's Castle crop circle being made. You obviously see the orbs there, and that was 1996, way before CGI. You be the judge. I happen to think that that video is pretty believable, unless the videographer was way before his time in terms of his know-how and technology. Okay, so is it possible that human beings can reproduce the intricate patterns that we've seen in some of these crop circles? I think so, especially with the advent of AI. Here's a video demonstrating just that.
And we begin with the big mystery behind the crop circle discovered down in Chular.
This morning, we now know the secret of who created it and why.
It is true. The NVIDIA marketing team is behind this phenomenon.
Silicon Valley chip maker NVIDIA is taking responsibility for the intricate design discovered a week ago. The company admitted last night at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas that it was all part of a publicity stunt. NVIDIA's CEO says it was built to promote the company's new product, a new processing chip called Tegra K1.
Okay, so it is possible. So considering that, what does the future hold for crop circles? We all know that public interest fluctuates, and a lot of people in the UFO community overlook the potential significance of these formations. However, I think that with new technologies like AI and improved aerial photography, the documentation and analysis of crop circles could reach new heights. Without continued documentation, like that of Karen Alexander and her husband, many crop circles would be lost forever, and often they're mowed down the day after their appearance. I want to thank Karen Alexander and her husband for all their work in this field. And if you guys are interested in checking out her work, you can go to her website, which is temporarytemples.co.uk. and she's been at this since 1999 with her husband. So clearly we're very clever and we can reproduce some of these crop circles, but not as intricate as some that I've seen, and certainly not overnight. I think it'd be interesting, in my opinion, to see what AI would do in deciphering some of these crop circle codes in the future. I think the world of crop circles is as beautiful as it is complex, and seems to have connections to the ancient world and spiritual consciousness, and potentially even to extraterrestrials or some sort of non-human connection. I think it's important to preserve these crop circles, as Karen Alexander is doing with her aerial photography with her husband, because one day they may be the missing piece of the puzzle to unravel the mystery of the UFO UAP phenomenon. Thank you. My name is Al Barrows. This has been UFO Disclosure. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. Thanks for listening to my podcast.